Every birthday, my family strapped me to a lie detector and called it tradition. I thought it was normal until I ran. Now, I'm telling the truth they tried to bury. It was a test. A control. A secret no one outside our home could understand. This is the story of how I survived it and why I had to run to find my own truth. Asterisk, I always thought my family was a little strange, not in a bad way, just too proper. We lived in a small village in western Ukraine, far from cities and curious eyes. Everything in our home followed a strict routine: breakfast, dinner, Sunday prayers, and mandatory family gatherings. But there was one tradition that stood out above all the rest. We called it the truth ritual. On every birthday, whether you were 6 or 40, the whole family gathered in the living room, turned on an old camera, placed a wooden table in the center, and my father would bring out a worn, battered device, a lie detector. When I was young, I thought it was something fun. We would watch Mom answer silly questions, and if the light turned red, everyone laughed. It was a game, but as the years passed, the game turned into something much darker. I had just turned 15. I'd been looking forward to the day: new phone, birthday greetings from friends, cake, but most of all, I was going to face my first real ritual. Before this, I'd been asked harmless questions like, have you ever stolen candy? Or did you cheat on a test? But this time it was different. When I sat down at the table, my father powered on the device. He silently handed me the electrodes. The room went completely quiet. Even our dog stopped barking. Do you have a boyfriend? My mother asked. Her voice was cold, distant. I hesitated. No. The red light flashed. So you're lying, my father said. His voice wasn't playful. Things only got worse. The questions became more personal, more humiliating. And every wrong answer, according to the machine, led to a deeper level of interrogation. After the ritual, I went to my room, holding back tears. I could hear my parents whispering in the kitchen. The door creaked open. My father walked in and sat on the edge of my bed. You lied during the ritual, he said flatly. It's just a stupid machine, I whispered, eyes still wet. He grabbed my wrist, not roughly, but firmly. In this house, tradition is sacred. If we allow lies to go unpunished, the whole family crumbles. That night, I wasn't allowed to eat dinner. My phone was taken away. My social media passwords were changed. I was grounded for 2 weeks. I wanted to scream, but in our home, silence was safer than truth. A year later, I turned 16. This time, I begged them not to do it. I cried. I pleaded. But my father only said, if you have nothing to hide, there's nothing to fear. It was the same excuse they always used. I sat through the ritual, numb, answering questions like, have you ever thought about running away? Do you ever feel ashamed of your family? Each red light felt like a knife. That night, I locked myself in the bathroom and stared at the mirror for hours. Something inside me snapped. I knew this wasn't love. This wasn't protection. This was control. By 17, I had a plan. I secretly saved money from tutoring younger kids in the village. I found a family in Lviv who was willing to let me rent a small room. I waited until my 18th birthday. One last ritual. I walked into the room, calm and cold. My hands didn't shake when I held the electrodes. My mother smiled like everything was normal. Are you ready? My father asked. No, I said, but I'm not doing it. The room went silent. You don't get to say no, he said. Yes, I do. I stood up, dropped the wires on the table, and walked out. They yelled. My little brother cried, but I didn't stop. I never looked back. Now I live in a small apartment. I go to university. I'm studying psychology because I want to understand how good people can do such cruel things and call it tradition. I've spoken to lawyers, therapists, and even police officers. What my family did wasn't just wrong, it bordered on illegal, coercion, psychological abuse, surveillance. But what hurts most isn't what they did, it's that they truly believed it was right. Some traditions don't deserve to survive. Some need to be burned to the ground. I still have the footage from my 15th birthday. One day, I might show it to the world. Because the truth deserves to be heard, even if it hurts. The first few months of freedom felt like learning to breathe again. At night, I still woke up with the sensation of wires around my wrists, the red glow of the machine haunting my dreams. But I also found small moments of peace, walking through the city alone, drinking coffee without someone watching me, laughing with classmates. I met people who didn't try to test me. People who believed me without needing proof. That was new and terrifying. Trust was something I had to rebuild from scratch. I started journaling, documenting not just the past, but the present. How I felt waking up. How I reacted to certain sounds. How much it meant just to have a locked door no one else could open. Healing was slow, but it was happening. Last winter, my little brother emailed me. He had just turned 15. He had gone through the ritual. His words were short. "Now I understand what you meant. I'm sorry. Can you help me? It broke me. I knew I had to do something." I contacted a family attorney. We discussed options, psychological evaluations, investigations. I wasn't trying to destroy my family, I was trying to stop the cycle. What happened to me was horrible, but what was happening to my brother now, it was a crime. I returned to my village, not to forgive, but to testify. The look in my parents' eyes when I walked into the courtroom wasn't anger, it was confusion. They still didn't believe they'd done anything wrong. The legal case is still ongoing, but my brother is now living with a host family in Lviv, finishing school. He calls me every week. We talk about movies, music, stupid memes. We talk like siblings. Real ones. As for me, I started a YouTube channel. I uploaded the birthday ritual video blurring faces, changing names, but telling the story as it was. It went viral. Thousands of comments poured in. People saying, "This happened to me too," or "I thought I was the only one." Survivors of family abuse, victims of control disguised as tradition. I never imagined my pain would become something powerful, but it has. And now I live by one rule: truth should never require permission. Part 10. Full circle. 6 months later, I was invited to speak at a youth mental health conference in Kyiv. I was nervous, terrified even. My hands trembled as I stood behind the microphone. But when I looked into the eyes of the hundreds of people watching, students, survivors, even professionals, I remembered why I was here. I told them about the ritual, about the red lights, the wires, the silence, about how something that looked like love could be a disguise for control. I talked about my brother, my escape, and what healing actually looked like. When I finished, the applause felt like thunder. But what mattered more were the quiet ones who came up after. The girl who hugged me and whispered, "My dad made me do the same thing." The boy who said, "You made me feel less alone." Now I'm writing a book, a real one, titled The Truth Ritual. I want people to know that traditions must be questioned, that silence isn't strength, and that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is speak. Because one voice can shatter generations of silence, and maybe, just maybe, it can save someone else. The end.